Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive. Today we're all about mastering money management, something relevant to everyone.
Yeah, it's definitely a life skill, like one they don't always quite teach you, you know?
You're telling me.
Yeah.
And that's why we're diving into Money Management Skills.
Aye.
It's a course by Professor Michael Finke at Texas Tech University. Part of the Great Courses series, actually.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of that.
And it's great because it has these super practical insights wherever you are on your financial journey,
And you know what's interesting? The course starts right off by saying, like, our brains, they aren't always wired to make the best money choices, you know?
Oh, tell me about it. I mean, those shoes I had to have totally blew the budget.
Right, it's the classic elephant and rider problem.
Elephant and rider.
Yeah, so the elephant, that's your emotional brain, wants it all, and right now. But the rider, that's our rational brain, knows we should plan long term. Problem is, that rider gets tired.
Okay, I like that visual, the elephant and rider. So how does Professor Finke help us, handle that?
So he talks about these things, behavioral biases,
Yeah,
right? Basically, predictable ways our brains mess us up financially, like loss aversion. Ever heard of that?
Loss aversion. Is that like when I miss a sale and get annoyed?
Kinda, but bigger. It's more how strongly we feel the pain of losing, even if logically it's not that bad. You remember that car you were selling?
Oh, man, don't even remind me.
You were convinced it was worth way more than it was, right?
Absolutely. Held on to it forever, hoping for that price.
C, loss aversion. We fixate on what we think we should get, even if it's not realistic. Happens with investments, too. Market dips, people freak out, sell everything, even though historically...
It bounces back up eventually.
Exactly. So Professor Finke's like, you got to focus on the big picture.
Makes sense, but how?
Instead of these short-term ups and downs, remind yourself of your goals, the long game.
Okay, got it. Any other biases to watch out for?
Oh, yeah, tons. There's narrow framing, for one. Like, imagine spending hours on coupons to save a few bucks.
Which, hey, I do that. It's worth it.
Totally. But then you ignore a credit card offer that'd save you way more because switching is too much effort.
Oof. Guilty as charged on that one.
Right. It's like we get stuck in the small stuff, miss the bigger picture. Then there's present bias, all about instant gratification.
Oh, like the marshmallow experiment, right?
Yeah. You got it. One marshmallow now or two later, most kids can't resist. Same with us, splurging on takeout instead of cooking at home.
So true. But these biases sound tough to beat. Professor Finke's got to have some tips, right?
Oh, he does. For starters, automate your savings. Make it so you don't even have to think about it.
That's smart. Out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly. Automatic transfers, retirement contributions, whatever works, takes the elephant right out of the equation.
Love it. What about when things get too complex, Overwhelming.
Professor Finke says break it down. Smaller steps, less intimidating.
So instead of a whole financial plan at once, start with just, tracking expenses.
Exactly. One step at a time. Okay, so we're learning to recognize our money elephants, use Professor Finke's strategies to keep our rational riders in control. But, how does this play out over our entire lives? And that's where things get even more interesting. Get ready to hear about something Professor Finke calls life cycle theory. This is all about making financial choices that make sense for each stage of life.
Life cycle theory, huh? Okay, so it's about more than just, skipping my daily latte, right?
Way more. This is about seeing your finances your whole life, not just today. Professor Finke uses this analogy of smoothing out your spending.
Smoothing out? I'm not sure I get that.
Okay, imagine spreading your income over your entire life. That's the gist. A lot of advice is cut back now, and yes, saving's important, but this is about strategy. Professor Finke calls it permanent income.
So not just what I make right now, but future raises, career stuff, even retirement way down the line.
Exactly. It's averaging it all out, your whole life's income. Nobody's got a crystal ball, but it helps you think big picture.
Okay, this is different. I see that. So how does life cycle theory actually work, at different points in our lives?
Let's say someone's just starting out, right? Early career, maybe they are living on ramen, but their earning potential probably higher later on.
So they shouldn't freak out about every dollar.
Right. Life cycle theory says it's okay to spend a bit more during this stage, especially if it's an investment in their future.
Makes sense. So taking that professional development course or even a networking trip, it's not being irresponsible.
Exactly. It's about strategic spending. Now, fast forward, someone's starting a family, got the mortgage, maybe kids on the way, expenses are up, but they've also got more earning years ahead.
Okay, so it's balancing, right? Enjoying life now, but putting money aside for those future goals, college funds, all that.
You nailed it. Professor Finke, he's big on having a plan. Doesn't mean no more takeout nights, but you are consistently putting money towards college too.
Gotcha. What about when we hit retirement? Those golden years? How does it work then?
Ideally, this is where it pays off. Years of saving, investing. You might have fewer expenses, mortgage is gone, kids are done with college, but you want those savings to last.
So not about hoarding every penny, but also not blowing it all on a timeshare you use once, right?
Exactly. Enjoying it, but being smart about healthcare costs, inflation, things that can sneak up on you.
Life cycle theory, that's a good framework. I can see that. But life's unpredictable, right? What about curveballs?
That's where flexibility comes in. Professor Fink, he's all about adjusting as you go. The plan isn't set in stone.
Okay, so like sudden raise, maybe up your savings rate, unexpected medical bill, adjust the budget.
You got it. Exactly that. Life cycle theory, it's about informed choices at each stage, knowing life throws surprises.
This is great, really eye-opening. It's not just about cutting back, it's spending smart, investing in your future self. Speaking of investing, though, that can feel like a whole other thing, you know?
It definitely can. But Professor Fink, he breaks it down so it's not so intimidating.
Yeah.
Ready to demystify investing a bit?
Let's do it. Bring it on. Okay, investing. Sometimes it feels like you need like a secret decoder ring just to understand it, you know?
Tell me about it. But Professor Fink, he's big on keeping it simple. You don't have to be like a Wall Street whiz to invest well.
That's good to hear. So where do we even start?
Professor Fink, he lays out some key things. First up, liquidity. Basically, how easy is it to get your money when you need it? Cash, that's the most liquid. Real estate, not so much.
So it's about having enough cash on hand, but then also having some money in those longer-term investments, right? Finding that balance.
Exactly. And then that ties into risk. Like, what's the chance your investment could lose value? Usually higher potential return means?
Higher risk, yeah. Bigger reward, bigger gamble.
Right. Which brings us to return. That's the profit you make. But Professor Fink, he's a big believer in time more than anything.
Time in the market, not timing the market. I've heard that before, yeah.
There you go. It's really hard to predict those ups and downs. Even the pros can't do it perfectly. Better to think long term, ride it out.
So patience is a virtue, huh?
Absolutely. Now, when it comes to what to invest in, Professor Fink, he loves index funds.
Index funds, those are the ones that track like the S&P 500 or something like that, right?
You got it.
Yep.
Like a whole basket of stocks. Instant diversification. And usually the fees are lower compared to other options. I had this friend actually thought he could outsmart the market, do all these fancy investments.
Oh, I know the type. How'd that go?
Well, let's just say he ended up switching to index funds. Sometimes simple, really IS, better.
Less stress too, probably. Okay, so index funds. Good to know. What else does Professor Fink suggest?
Big on asset allocation. How you divide your money between different things.
Yeah.
Stocks, bonds, maybe real estate too.
Gotcha. So it's not just what, but how you spread it around, right? Managing risk.
Exactly. And your ideal way to do it depends on you, your age, how much risk you can handle, your goals, younger, more time, maybe you're more aggressive, close to retirement, probably more conservative.
This is great, making so much more sense.
Yep.
Okay, we've covered a lot. Wrangling our inner elephants, those life stages, even dipping our toes into investing. But what about everyday stuff? Credit cards, mortgages, all that.
Professor Finke, he's got a whole chunk on that too. Big thing he stresses, be strategic. Credit cards, for example, they're not bad.
Right, it's how you use them.
Exactly. He's big on understanding how interest works. High rates can really cost you if you're just making those minimum payments. His advice, pay it off in full each month if you can.
And use those rewards programs to your advantage.
Right, exactly. Cashback, travel points, whatever works for you. It's like a little bonus if you're already going to spend the money. He also talks about car loans, mortgages, big ones, usually involve debt.
And it's easy to get fixated on just that monthly payment, not the big picture.
That's why he says, look beyond the monthly number. What's the total cost? Shop around for interest rates, all of that.
Be informed. Don't just jump at the first thing you see, right?
Exactly. And then he even dives into taxes. I know, everyone's favorite.
Can't say I blame anyone for avoiding that topic.
But he makes it less scary. Understanding the basics, deductions versus credits, all that. And he really likes those tax-advantaged accounts, like your 401k, IRAs.
Those are the ones that can save you money come tax time, right?
Exactly. It's all about being smart, using every tool you've got. And then to wrap it all up, he talks about creating a financial plan.
Like a roadmap for your money.
Exactly. But like any map, got to update it. Life
Yeah.
changes, right? Professor Fink, he's big on revisiting your plan, making adjustments, and don't be afraid to get professional help if you need it.
This deep dive into money management skills has been awesome. I've learned a lot. It's more than just the numbers. It's about understanding ourselves, making those smart choices, planning for what's ahead.
Couldn't agree more.
Professor Fink, he leaves us with a good question to ponder. If you had to pick one rule for managing your money, based on everything we've talked about, what would it be?
What's your money rule? Share it with us on social media. Use the episode hashtag. Let's keep the conversation going.
We've loved diving into this with you all, and until next time, remember, when it comes to your finances, knowledge is power.